Welcome back, guys. Matt here with a new series. It's going to be called Ear to the Ground. Every every week there seems to be just a pool of players that everyone gets behind, rookies, premos, and I figure let's drop a video on a Thursday night. We'll go through all the hot players and answer some viewer questions as well about who they should be bringing in. So hopefully we'll do a weekly series of this where we can get through. And if you want your guy featured during the week, just drop it in the comment, and next week we'll have a little look. It'll be a deep dive. Still try to keep the video to that 10-15 minute mark though. I don't want to put you to sleep. So let's crack straight in. No team overview for this. The first obvious primo that everyone is talking about, and if you don't own him, which I don't, is Ridley, of course. He's back this week off a concussion, off a small score. I'll bring him up just for the sake because I'm talking about him. I think he's going to drop a fair bit. Break even of 192. You know, he's been going at 130 off a concussion. Is he going to do less than that? That's my FRI. I don't know if you caught that one. Now, off a concussion, is he going to drop much? Maybe. I think you wait the week and just to see how he plays. Essendon looked great. He's going to slot back in and he's going to keep getting 130s all season by the looks. Get him in as soon as he can, but I think you've got a week for Ridley. Now, while we're on Essendon, viewer John O'Carroll asked about Heppel. And I'll tell you what a find. I won't personally do him. I guess search him up here so I get him on the main screen. Hold on. I won't personally bring him in, but I tell you, it's a good find by Jono, and hats off to him. He's having a good little run. 90s, grabbed 100 against Collingwood, who are rubbish. He's playing an interesting role, and he's cheap as chips. And could he be the next Walker? Maybe. The thing I don't like about it is he's a midfielder, mid only. So that, you know, there's plenty of choice in the midfield at the moment for less or more. Is he just a stopgap? Does he go back to 80s? I don't know. His highest scores are up there with some of the best of all time, but that was a long time ago. We're talking years ago he was doing these scores. I don't mind it, and if you're an Essendon fan, the thing about Supercoach is you want to have fun, and if you're an Essendon fan and you watch Essendon every week, and you're seeing Heppel get scores and he's only 389, just do it. I did it with Walker and I wasn't convinced. I mean, he's ended up paying off really well, but as a Crows guy, I wasn't gonna watch every Crows game and watch Walker pop off for 100 every week without him in my team. At the end of the day, you do play Supercoach to have fun. You know, only one person wins the money, and everyone else is just doing it for fun. So if you're an Essendon guy and you like Heppel, bring him in. Why not? What's the worst that can happen? You burn a trade. You burn another trade to get rid of him. I personally am not going to do it. I've got the money to do something else. But great little pick. Maybe watch him for a couple of weeks, because if he goes, let's just say he goes 100 for the next 3 weeks, he only gets to about 450. It's still a bargain. 460, still a bargain. The next one, the man that I am going to go for will be Walsh. I am most certainly going to be bringing Walsh in this week. This guy has taken over from Cripps. There's not much to say about Walsh. He's a stud. Get him into your team right now. All the big primos in the midfield, if they're not already in your team, you know, the Bont, Steele, McRae, if they're not already in your team, this is the next guy. And I'd even argue that you take this guy over some of those other ones. Steele, maybe even Bont. It looks like he's the real deal. Can he keep this scoring up? It seems like he can. This guy seems to be from a different universe. He could well be one of the best players we've ever seen by the time he's done. A reminder that he's 3 years into his career and he's playing like a 25-year-old. Get him in, enjoy it, and I'm going to do it this week because his break-even is 68. He will be 650, 700 in no time, the way he's scoring. This is the week to go Walsh. That's your midfield woes. Now, what about your forwards? A lot of people are talking about... The two everyone's talking about is Green and Marshall. So I'll go through the two. And there's a key difference between Green and Marshall. and I spoke about it a little on the other video. Green looks like he's scoring well. Ignore these two because it was a totally different team. The new GWS are from here. 117. And like I said in my last video, 76, he kicked 7 behinds. That is another ton if you kick straight. 1 goal, 7 I think he kicked. Nat Fife-like, if you will. They got the Crows. Favourable draw. He's... If you have a look down, can you see? He scored against the Crows before. He's a scorer. He's a player who scores. The worry is that he's also a player who doesn't score. He's renowned for just dropping 60s on you at the worst time. Like last year, he drops a 166 and backs it up with a 41, then gets suspended / injured, then comes back, drops a few 70s, tons up, hits you back with a 60. Like, he's a frustrating player. So frustrating. Same again. Like, he ended that year. Look, this was him in 2019. Ends the year on 100s. I brought him in. And then, of course, he was either injured or suspended in the final round, which is your grand final if you're playing league. So, cheers, Toby. Grain of salt. The difference between him and Marshall is 50k, and that's an important 50k. Because that's the difference between being able to do Ridley next week or not, or Walsh next week or not, or whoever else you're looking for, McRae. So, if that 50 is a big deal, then do it. The next one is of course Marshall. He's the other forward line option. Came back this week. I think I spoke a fair bit about him in the actual video myself. So I won't go on too much about him. He's a proven scorer. He was probably forward 1 last year. It was in the top 6 either way. And in 2019, I'd argue that he was too. So don't doubt that he's going to score. Durability is what you've got to worry about. He spent, he spent 5 weeks on the Pine, 4.5 on the Pine. But to drop 132 on Port in a game where they got absolutely rolled is impressive. And you have to think he's going to keep doing it. High break even, but at 146. But if he's dropping 120s, rucks seem to be scoring well again. Good rucks. And by good rucks, I mean Gawn, Grundy, and Marshall. He was in that conversation 2 years ago when he first broke out. So I think he's the one I'm going to go. I need to do a little bit of maths on whether I can fit him, Walsh, and Ridley in over the next week or two, and that'll depend on the rookie that's available next week. So it's an important decision. It's 50k. I think I've got the cash to do it, and I think Marshall's my pick of the week for who you should be bringing in. You have to bring in a high-scoring forward. We spoke about it before. Dunkley gone. You're not putting Rowe in, probably because he probably will get dropped. But you're not putting that type of player on for Dunkley and just bringing in someone in the midfield as a stopgap. There are scorers at the rookies in the midfield. There aren't scorers in the rookies in the forward line. So replace him with a premium. Do Rowan Marshall. And I mean, say you're not bringing in a premium this week, or say you need to go 1 up, 1 down. Who are you bringing in as far as a rookie? I think there's that ear to the ground. There's probably 3, maybe. There'd be 3 rookies that everyone's talking about this week. McRae is the first one that everyone's talking about. He's on 2 games. Trap. He'll play for sure. I don't even think he's the best forward or mid this week. I wouldn't get him. If you've already got him, then okay. But I wouldn't have got him if I was going up down. I just think there's better options. Just take the blinkers off and block out his name and just pretend that he's a random Collingwood mid forward who's dropping 40 to 30 a game, who didn't play any footy last year, whose scoring wasn't that high in his year as an underager in NAB League. So I mean, if you want him in, he's got a nice price, fine. I think there's better options. If you've already got him, well, you went him. So I don't think it was a bad call to bring him in early, but I wouldn't do it this week. And that's because of this man, R2 Basenavalagi. Absolute ripper, because he's a kangaroo. He's also a second... Did he debut last year for Collingwood, and they got rid of him as part of their horrendous list management? He's 175, so you're paying up for him, but he's an on-field option. 72, 62, and if you show that you can hold a footy and you play for the North Melbourne Kangaroos, then you are in the side. They'll probably make him a life member. 72, 62, he's a forward line prospect. Beautiful to go straight down from Rowe. If Rowe's out, you get rid of Rowe anyway this week. Beautiful. You get him in. You sit him on your field till he cashes out. These sort of scores, he's going to end up at the 3 to 350 mark. So he's a great rookie, and I wish that I could bring a rookie in, and I might even go late on him next week. And Joshy Cameron asked about Jai Farah, and I've got to tell you, I don't know much about Jai Farah, even though he was a Crows. He played 2 games for the Crows. I've spelled his name wrong. Jai Farah, yeah, no E. Even though he came from the Crows top-up list, he played 2 games against Sturton Port, dropped low 20s in the sample. This was 2 years ago, and then was drafted last year. And did he play much for Gold Coast last year? He played 1 game at Tasmania and dropped a 50. Just decent. He's 184. He's gone 83 and 59. Geez, he's a pod rookie. I feel like if you're bringing a forward in, you've got to go Basenavalagi. If you're doing 2, I don't know why you'd be doing 2. I don't mind Jai Farah. I just don't know enough about him to recommend him. And there's such a small sample size. 80, 59. Like I said, it was 2 years ago now, but it was 3 years ago now, but when he played for the Crows for those 2 games, when he would have been 18, I guess, at the time, or maybe 19, they were low 20s against Port, and I think Sturt was the other one he played. Dropped it. They score, SNFL score Dream Team points, so similar to Supercoach, and it's 20s and 30s, and then 59, 49. You probably can expect a little bit of cash from him. 184 is a little much to pay up. I don't really subscribe to the expensive rookie mantra that a lot of people do, but it's a bit much to pay for when Basenavalagi is on the same line. And the other one that everyone's doing this week is they're going early on Dilthorpe. He is obviously the new Jesus. He will score 2,000 goals in his career. That's a given. He's going to be the greatest forward the Crows ever have. And I've never said a bad thing about him in his career, if I'm honest. Love the kid. Thought it was a wonderful pick. Definitely thought we should pick him over Logan McDonald. And if you can find me saying otherwise, let me know so I can delete it. Because obviously my account's been hacked. Either way, he obviously had a wonderful debut. He's not kicking 5 goals a game, let's be real. Dropped 90 against Hawthorn. It's a tall forward place, Tasmania. And he had a great debut. He looks great. He'll never play a SNFL again. So if you're worried about job security, then short of him getting injured, which he has a groin issue that he came on last year and the start of this year, so there is that concern. But job security wise, fine. He will play for the next 2 months. I mean, I doubt he'll probably play every game this year. There's no way they can drop him again. I mean, unless Frampton continues to kick 10 goals a week in the sample, and then you sort of have to force him in. But even then, I think Himmelberg goes before Thilthorpe goes. So, if you want to bring him in, don't. But he's certainly an option to look at. 200's a lot, but he's not going to go 91. Give yourself the 2 weeks. That's why they give you 3 weeks to do it. Give yourself next week, see what he does against GWS. He probably will score well. Then he plays the showdown. I'm certain an away showdown, mind you, he will not drop well. If he plays well in the showdown, then this kid is the next Jason Dunstall, and put him in your team as F1. But for me, there's no way I'm going early on that. I think Basana Balagi is a much better option in the forward line. You're not trading Flynn down. And I mean, I suppose if you've got a spare trade somehow this week and you've got Hunter as your third ruck, you could do Hunter for Thilthorpe because Hunter's done for the year. But I just can't see any other scenario where you'd want to go early on Thilthorpe. And that's my take. That they're the hot players this week. That's what everyone's talking about. That's what everyone's doing. Let us know your thoughts. Thanks again for watching. You guys have been great. I'm really appreciative of all the comments and all the likes. Hit a like, hit a subscribe. It really does help with the YouTube search. I get a lot of views from the YouTube search. So thanks again. Thanks for watching. Always try to reply to every comment. So if I miss someone, if I missed a player that you want to know about, hit me up before the lockout. Put it in the comments. I will reply. Thanks and best of luck this week.